Welcome back to Speak. We just finished practice from St. Pete before Sunday's big race on Fox, and we're joined now by INDYCAR driver Graham Rahal. So, Graham, how did practice go out there today, buddy?
How's it going, guys? It's great to be with you this evening.
How did practice go for you today?
Practice was all right. You know, this is a tricky place. We only get one practice here on Friday. We'll have two practice and qualifying tomorrow, and then, of course, the big race on Sunday, kicking off the NTT INDYCAR Series here this year. I think for us, we're about P15 today, but extremely close, extremely competitive. So, you know, we're looking forward to it. Hopefully we can improve for tomorrow.
Graham, Ric Bucher here. You've won on this course before. I'm just curious, what's the biggest challenge of this street course?
Well, a lot of challenges here. You know, we are literally downtown St. Petersburg in Florida. I mean, we go right into the city streets. But behind me there is the airport that we actually run on. So our front straightaway is on an airport, and then we work our way into downtown and then slowly back out. So really tight walls here, no margin for error whatsoever. If you make a mistake, you're going to crash. That's just how it is. We saw a lot of that today, actually. But man, it's been a long time since I won here in 2008. So we gotta turn it back around. Finished second here a couple of years ago, but love to get another win here to kick off our year.
Graham, Paul Pierce here. Last time I won was in 2008 too, buddy. But anyway,
Yeah,
you talked about.
I know. I was actually thinking that those years collided with you. I thought.
Well, you talked about you were a fan of LeBron in the Cleveland days, and I was one of his rivals in those days. I'd like to know, who's your biggest rival today?
Yeah, no, I remember well, man. I watched plenty of basketball back in those times. But, yeah, I mean, for us, I would say there's not one. I mean, probably the guy I had the biggest rivalry with, the Rahals and the Andrettis were always big rivals. Marco is no longer racing, so that's a little bit different. And then there was a guy named Simon Pagenaud that I raced with from the age of 15 or 16 years old up until our mid-30s, and he had a bad crash about a year and a half ago, and unfortunately had to medically sort of retire due to a head injury. But, you know, those guys I raced the hardest with. I mean, nowadays, look, man, you know, our sport's a little atypical in the sense that when you look at teammates, you know, and your guys' sports teammates, it's so vital that you work together. Yeah. In our sport, we work together, but on Sundays, you're judged by beating your teammates. I mean, that's just the reality of it. If you are great, that means you're the best on your team. And I got a couple of young guys, whippersnappers underneath me that we're going to hope we're gonna help them rise to the occasion, but hopefully we can beat them throughout this year. But these young kids, man, they come in, they're fast, they're aggressive, they try things that we weren't trained necessarily to try. So times have changed a little bit.
Nice.
So, Graham, how would you describe your style of driving?
Well, I'm fairly aggressive, I would say, typically. Try to be the last of the late breakers, as they say. Try to push our way around a little bit. But the reality is, guys, like in our sport, particularly around a track like here in St. Petersburg, to win this thing, you got to finish, and you got to have all four corners and two wings on the car in good condition. So you've got to be very smart. The first race of the year, there's a lot of pent-up energy over the last 6 months or 5 months of waiting for this event. So turn one is like a complete, you know, a head case going in there with everybody, and you just got to make sure you come out on the other side of it. But, you know, look, you've got to be aggressive. As I just said, these young kids are coming in here, and they're aggressive. The way that our sport has changed, it used to be these cars were fragile. You couldn't touch each other. You had to be really careful. You know, now there's a lot more bumping. You're able to get away with a little more. The cars are a little more durable and sturdy. So things have changed, and you got to evolve with it.
So this is the opener to the season. I'm just wondering, what have you been doing the last couple of weeks, the last month, in order to prepare for the start of the season?
Well, once my Buckeyes won the championship, I've had to lock back into racing here. You know, it's I'm a diehard. I'm from Columbus, so diehard Buckeye. But yeah, I mean, the off season for me, got some other businesses and stuff, but from a racing perspective, just super locked into making sure that, you know, we've had a couple of tough years, and we got to turn it around. There's a lot of new engineering staff, 2 new drivers out of the 3 on our team. As I said, only myself remains. So I had to work really closely with the team. I'm the biggest guy in our sport. I'm 6'3", 200 pounds. So, you know, for me, the offseason was really about trimming down, trying to get some weight off the car, off of myself, because it's very hard to get the driver, the car, the equivalency to be equal.
Yeah.
My teammate's 130 pounds. So in racing, it's like a horse jockey. You want to be light. And so for me, that's what I've been really focused on, is trying to make sure in year 19 now that you guys know this. Year 19, your body doesn't feel like it did in year 1. So for me, trying to make sure that I can keep going.
No, that's true. Yeah, you talked about the conditioning and what you need to do to get down or whatever. What type of training, though? Like, what do you do to get ready for a race? Like, outside of obviously racing the cars and things like that. I mean, like in the weight room, on a treadmill. Like, what is it that you do?
Hard. So, we really don't practice. Between the end of last season and this year, I got 1 day of testing. That's all we're allowed. That's series mandated. So very hard to show up here and be on your game. You've barely been in the car. A lot of cardiovascular work, obviously a lot of core work, a lot of low back for me. Neck, a lot of drivers do, something called an iron neck and really try to strengthen. There's a lot of G-forces under braking, cornering in these cars. There's tracks that we corner. Indianapolis, you're cornering over 220 miles an hour for the Indy 500. So, your neck takes quite a lot of strain, but these cars are physical. I've lost 11 pounds in a race before. The Indy Grand Prix in 2020, 11 pounds in one race of water weight. Wow. So it's extremely hot in these cars, extremely physical. So it's very hard to prepare. I mean, as much as you do in the gym, the reality is the first day back in the race car, you're shaking off a lot of cobwebs.
Hey, Graham, I was going to ask you, where I can get one of them cars and how much it's going to cost. But you said you lost 11 pounds in it. I don't think I want one no more.
I'll tell you what. You get yourself to a race, and we'll get you in a 2-seater.
Oh, I like that.
That's about as close as you'll get. But we'd love to show. Oh, they fit some big boys in there. Trust me. So the only ones we haven't been able to fit typically. I know we got a couple Buccaneers linemen coming this weekend, and the linemen don't fit so good in there, but it's not so much the height as it is the size laterally. But no, you'll love it, man. You'll love it. It's we'd love to have you out at a race, all of you guys, and show you what we do, and it's spectacular.
No, it seems like it would be a challenge to be able to learn how to drive one of those cars.
Pounds. That's crazy.
Because the engine, right? The engine's so hot.
It takes, but it's the same. Literally, it's the same as you guys in your sports. You start at a very junior level in go-karting, a slow go-kart with a weed whacker motor on it. Then you step up, and as you get older, the cars get more power. The go-kart gets more power. It gets faster. It gets heavier to drive. All these things, and you just get used to a stiffer and stiffer competition. And when you get to the big leagues, just like the NBA, the NFL, everybody's fast. Everybody can win.
Right.
But it takes years. I mean, I started racing when I was 10. Nowadays, kids are starting at 4 or 5 years old in go-karts.
Wow.
And so by the time they get to race Indy cars, they've done thousands and thousands of races. So a lot like you guys and sort of the ladder, as we'll call it, to get to the top.
Well, Graham, you mentioned you've been at this for a while. I'm just curious, like, over that period of time, what has been the biggest change or the biggest adjustment you've had to make, aside from age and taking care of yourself?
Yeah.
Like, in the sport itself, like, what has been the biggest change?
The cars. The cars continue to change, and they continue to evolve. I'm not going to necessarily say in the right way. I mean, when I came into this, the cars were they were lethal. They were fast. They were raw. They had tons of power, lots of downforce. As we change, globally, the world and the demand for the car, now our cars are hybrid, for instance. We have got, compared to Formula One, where everything is automated, in the IndyCar, everything is driver-oriented, meaning I have to manage the battery recharge. I've got to manage when I deploy the power, the electric, use of the engine. Of course, it is still a V6 twin-turbo, 800 horsepower engine, but you're now combining with hybrid. What does that do to it? It adds about 100-plus pounds to the car weight. So that's different. You can feel it, particularly here at St. Pete, when you're cornering. The cars feel very heavy. So it's a constant evolution. As I said, I think back to the days of when I first jumped in, there was no electronics. The cars were simple, fast as can be. But there wasn't a lot of driver things going on. Now, even on a street circuit like here in St. Pete on a 60-second lap time, there's so much that you are doing that you have to remember to do each and every lap. That's the evolution of the sport. And, of course, it's like the young guys. I was talking to a buddy of mine who plays in the NHL. You look at some of the goals that these kids are trying or attempting or scoring in the NHL. It's crazy. They're things that we, when he started playing, they didn't think of doing it. Same in our sport. There's stuff nowadays that people are doing, the moves that people pull off, the brave sort of mentality that these young kids have, you know, that wasn't taught in my era when I was coming up. So now you're having to continuously, you know, adjust to the game. I mean, look at the way the NBA has changed. You guys know it as well as I have. I mean, the speed of the NFL, it evolves seemingly yearly or daily, and it's the same for us in IndyCar racing.
Thanks for joining us, Graham. Really appreciate it, man, and good luck on Sunday.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Absolutely, guys. Thank you, and we look forward to having you out of the races.
Definitely.
We'll definitely get there. The fastest racing on earth is coming to Fox. The 2025 IndyCar season gets underway in St. Petersburg. The first stop on the road to the Indy 500, Sunday at noon Eastern, live on Fox. Stick around for more Spizzy after this.
Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak, and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.